We are back with F1 24 career mode on this channel. 5 rounds to go in this current season. And you know what? This is a pretty historical episode of this series because 4 seasons in to this game, it's taken 68 whole episodes. But for the very first time on this game, I can't believe we've got here. We've got to 60% recognition. We've finally unlocked the 3rd tier of R&D secret upgrades. Oh God, I could cry. I am crying. Oh my God, it's taken so long. But finally, we can make an upgrade on this Toyota car. If you haven't been following along, this entire season, since I joined Toyota, I have not been able to do a single tangible performance upgrade on this car because the rest of them that were available to us were all locked away because we weren't at 60% recognition, and all we could do was chip away, bat away secret meetings, consistently beat Yuki Tsunoda. Oh, it feels so good. Finally, we can purchase these last ultimate upgrades. I don't have R&D to purchase every single one, nor do I have the simultaneous upgrades to do every single one at the same time, but I'm picking the largest front and rear downforce upgrades, the largest weight reduction upgrade, ERS, engine power. So at the moment now, we have a beautifully looking 5 ultimate upgrades pending. Look at that bar on the right hand side. That is ridiculous. That is all the potential of this car that we left on the table because of this recognition issue. And well, on the other side of the garage, it's nice to turn up at least. It's nice to contribute something. Yuki, he's purchased 1 upgrade and it's on durability. Pat on the back, mate. Good job. Thank you for absolutely nothing there. But yeah, for us, this is huge because this is how the championship looks. Of course, I know we took quite a large break from this episode from the last one. Obviously, IRL, we've got a winter break in this series, in this season. I guess you could say we took a bit of a summer break in-game, but just to break the 4th wall for a sec to explain, I basically had some technical issues with the game working, getting some things to work as they did before I went away on holiday over Christmas. So that's why it took a little while to get this episode made and uploaded. I ideally actually wanted to upload this video like 5 days ago, but I just couldn't because of technical issues. Anyway, we are here now, and yes, the championship, it is very, very much in the balance, drivers wise and constructors. I feel like honestly, mentally, I've kind of already accepted that maybe Ferrari are going to pull something off that they haven't done in the F1 games or in real life in many years, which is a back-to-back constructors championship in this series, as they won last season, and they won the drivers championship with Leclerc. The drivers, well, we're still leading, but as you can see by this R&D chart, in the recent 2 episodes, we have been off the podium. Obviously, Silverstone with that DNF. So it's been 4 races since we were last on the podium. And it's no surprise the timing of that is also in line with pretty much every team making small gains and upgrades around us, whilst we were still in this plateau phase where we couldn't make any kind of upgrades ourselves. Obviously, if you follow along on the episodes, you'll know the AI engine upgrades did come in for us. So those were the only upgrades we saw, but up until now, we haven't bought a single R&D upgrade. So this comes at a crucial time to get this recognition, to get these extra upgrades in. They won't come in straight away, but for the last 3 rounds of the season, Brazil onwards, they will be on the car. So this episode and next episode may just be a case of massive damage limitation, trying to, as we have all season long, dragging this car into a position where it maybe doesn't even deserve to be in, and basically maximizing completely what we can do in the race, trying to nail everything together to get the best result. And then really, honestly, I'm hoping from Brazil onwards, we'll be laughing as a team because our car should be the out-and-out best car on this grid, depending on if others maybe have last-minute upgrades to also bring. So that's the game plan for these last 5 rounds of the season. But let's get into this first one here. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix, always a chaotic one and pays to qualify well here around here. So let's go into qualifying.
And a warm welcome here ahead of qualifying for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Normally these streets are lined with vehicles, it's non-stop traffic jams, but today the roads are closed to everyone except the 20 best drivers in the world. It's time for qualifying for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
So this opening lap here in Baku is honestly just going to be a bit of a banker. Get a feeler for the car again, trying to dust off some of the cobwebs and the rust on my driving on F1 24. Because, like I said, it may have been a little bit of a summer break in the series, essentially, with how long the gap was from this episode to last. But as I said, I was away for the holidays. So the actual last time I played this game and this career mode was, I think, around the 15th of December. So it's been a long while. And there definitely was a lot of time to find for me as we got back into the groove, got back into the rhythm of F1 24, this car, this circuit as well. Track evolution seemed to be pretty massive as well, as there was a lot of swinging of positions. You know, we gained over a second on that second lap, but to my surprise, there was still even more time to find on the last lap as Leclerc goes on provisional pole, one of the many few drivers trying to chase me down in the standings as we go across the line. It was a yellow middle sector. That's just not what you want to see. That is not ideal. That's not a great quali for me. That's not a great quali. I knew it was going to be difficult getting back into this game after so long not playing it. But that, I thought we could do at least maybe a top 10, like P10 there. To be fair, we're not too far off Sonoda. We're only 2/10 off Sonoda. And he's P12, so maybe that's kind of really where the car is. Like I said in the last few episodes, the vibe certainly has felt like our car has been looking weaker as other teams start to really dial in. You know, Red Bull looking a lot better now. Hamilton's been qualifying so well, but, you know, you've seen Haas. I mean, look at that. Piastri right up there. Haas have been unreal. BMW as well. They've been emphatic. I mean, the last two episodes, we've had 1-2s for BMW Williams and 1-2s for Haas Cadillac. So it really has been a very topsy-turvy portion of this season, so we can't be too disappointed. And I also will point out there is rain forecast for the race tomorrow, so that could change everything. Let's go to the grid.
And a warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. It's 3.7 miles around a lap of Baku's city circuit, 7 rights and 13 lefts, giving us a total of 20 corners. Watch out for a safety car today. Incidents are already common on this circuit, and the wet conditions will only make things worse, particularly through the incredibly narrow turn 8. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Albon, Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Sonoda, Russell, Hülkenberg, Norris, and RB, Stroll, Joe, Vesti, Behrman, Sargent, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me in the commentary box, my old friend, Anthony Davidson. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not. Now, sadly, things didn't work out for them last time. It was a bad race. Question is, though, can they recover today?
Yes, they can, Crofty. You've got to put it behind you. Whatever happened last time, I was always told as a driver, park it, forget about it. Obviously, feel the pain when it happens, but then you can't dwell on it and carry that through to the next race. So put it behind you and just crack on with this race coming your way now.
It may have been a little bit of a difficult qualifying, but what I didn't note was, you know, the nearest man to us in the championship, Lando Norris, he equally qualified as poorly. McLaren, as a duo, didn't qualify great, so that's in our favour, but also just shows how topsy-turvy this part of the season has been, where you're seeing some rises and some falls of form from certain teams. Apart from Ferrari, they seem pretty consistent kind of baseline, and now Leclerc seems to be taking up a notch. Of course, he got unlucky with an engine failure, I think it was, at Monza in his home race, so he'll be looking for a bit of revenge there. But you know, what can Piastri do off the back of a win at the Italian Grand Prix. He's on the front row, so he's at the sharp end once again of Formula 1, so he's very much the man in form. And it is raining, as you can see. We're on intermediates, and I actually set the car up for these Inters conditions, knowing that we will be in this intermediate period for the large majority of this race. There will be a dry period at the end of the race, but we've put slightly higher wings just so I can get performance in this first part of the race, because I thought, you know, from what we've seen, I need to be making some compromising choices to try and really maximize everything we can in the races. It may have been to our detriment in quali for sure, clearly being in P15, but I'm hoping in this first part of this race we can make some massive gains. As we park up now and we start to rev up for one of two crucial races maybe in our championship fight before our upgrades come on the car. It's going to be lights out and we're underway for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, tentatively moving to the outside, trying to find some space in the chaos here. This is already a pretty dangerous Grand Prix for damage, contact, maybe the wall so close in the dry, let alone the wet, but meanwhile Piastri is not going to let that fear him as he dives down the inside, as does Hulkenberg. Both Haas Cadillacs going for the inside move there, and I've got to be honest, I got absolutely sold by Hulkenberg, and we go down one position to P13, now being chased after by Lance Stroll as we try and close back up. Lando Norris on the inside is taking the wall. Our nearest championship rival has taken himself out and brought out an early red flag on lap 1. The red flag is out, and our nearest contender is out. That's massive for us. That's really great for us in terms of the championship, but also, how long is this red flag going to be? Because this could change the amount of wet weather we have, and that could in turn bite me back in the arse, because like I said, I just set the car up for mainly wet conditions. It's a very silly mistake from Lando Norris. Simply put, he just drove into the wall. I don't know what on earth he was doing. If he carried on a bit of a normal racing line, he would have made the corner and just tucked it up behind me. But instead, he just kept turning left where the wall was there. And like I said, the red flag's actually screwed me. So Lando may have got the last laugh, actually, because now my performance may not be as good in this race, because I've got those higher wings and it's going to be a dry race for the entire race now. That's how long the red flag delay has been. We may be restarting on lap 3, but obviously, like in IRL, they simulate the time taken to form the cars back up, get all the procedures. You know, your engineers are warming back the tyres, you might change tyres, you know, you check all the data, and all of that takes a lot of time. So clearly here in the game, enough time has elapsed in the race weekend where the rain is past us, and we're now on to dry. So here I was fiddling around with the strategy, seeing if maybe a zero stop effectively could be worth it, going on to hards for basically all the way to the end, but then it looked like the tyre was going to be way too high right at the end of the race. So instead, I'll go for the default 2 mediums and just hope the medium tyres are going to be a decent, consistent one for us here around Baku, and hopefully others are going with the same sort of strategy. It looks like it on first glance as we go to 5 red lights for the second time here in Baku. It's still very doom and gloom overcast, but it is dry enough for the slicks as we get done off the line by the Aston Martin. But again, on the outside, finding a nice little bit of space there, but we can't quite re-overtake Hulkenberg, the man who did us at this very corner, as it's 3 abreast ahead. Sainz, Perez, and Russell, I think that was, and someone has just lost a bit of end plate. What did I say? Baku is just so tight, and the odds you're going to lose some bodywork is so high, so that's why I've also been very cautious there. I could have been more aggressive, but I'm going to wait for the right time, and the right time might be now as we just float in the car delicately over the curb, and we're going to out-traction Hulkenberg to get back up that position on the Haas Cadillac up into P12. Russell, our old teammate from Season 3, ahead of us, Tsunoda P10, and looking at how everyone's going, I think, well, wow, I mean, Piastri is going amazingly. He is dominating things right now on lap 4. He's 2.3 seconds ahead of Leclerc in second place. Unbelievable, as there's a very ferocious fight going on with Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen, the 2 Red Bull Ford teammates going at it and nearly squeezing each other into the wall. Ocon getting in the mixer, but I was going to say, looking at the performance of people just ahead of us, I think Sainz is the one with the damage, with the lack of end plate. You may notice it if you just look close enough behind the Red Bull here. Sainz on the left-hand side of his car, I think he's got no end plate. So he is going to be slow, and he's going to back Perez, Tsunoda, and Russell into us. And so it's a crucial time for us to try and overtake. But you may have also noticed Hulkenberg has actually re-overtaken us. That Haas is unbelievable in a straight line, and he just got us down the main straight. So we have to re-overtake him as well. But now knowing Sainz is going to be slow, I don't mind. We can be patient knowing that 4 cars may just be coming towards us. But it seems like no one is coming towards Oscar Piastri as he waltzes away into the distance. I thought, but now there's a puff of smoke. Oh, it's tragedy. It's tragedy for the Australian. He was leading by such a margin. And you know what that is? That's the commentator's curse. I was about to praise how far away he's pulling and that no one's going to close up to him. And his engine's given way. Oh, it's a tragedy. I mean, if he didn't win the last race, it would have been a real tough period for Oscar Piastri. He's been playing a lot of ping pong, mainly with us, for the last few episodes. But that has got to be a knife to the heart there for Piastri. He's going to be gutted, especially, you know, building on that race win at Monza. This could have been back-to-back wins, you would think, looking at the pace he had. But now, this is a bit concerning for me and others in the championship. Leclerc into the lead. He's going to be scoring big as we are desperately trying to now repass Hulkenberg as he looks to attack Russell. So that was a little bit rash from me. We went far too deep into turn 1. Let's be a bit more patient, a bit more clever with this and just pick off the positions there rather than trying to do 2 in 1 as Hulkenberg gets Russell. So let's just focus on Russell on the outside. Our engineer gives us the target of Hulkenberg. So Mark, ever the, what a great engineer, you know, always giving me great motivation at the right time, as if I didn't know I had to try and overtake Hulkenberg, ideally, in this race, and ideally also trying to overtake that Ferrari, who Tsunoda has just got past. So Tsunoda now has been left clear to pull away from the Ferrari, and the Ferrari is now held up Hulkenberg so much so that we're now side by side with them. It's a drag race, but it's one the Haas will win. It is such a quick car in a straight line, especially in the last few episodes. It seems like they've been really dialing in that car for straight line speed at Monza. You know, Spa as well, they were pretty damn good, and Baku here as well. You know, next episode, Singapore, that will be interesting to see how they fare with a bit more of a, you know, downforce heavy dependent circuit as we try and go for the switch from left to right now, right to left maybe, as Sainz defends the inside, and we pull off a very unorthodox overtake on the outside of that right-hander just before the castle section. You really don't see overtakes being made on the outside there, but we pulled it off, such as the damage to Carlos Sainz's front left, and we're up into P9 now. Tsunoda ahead doing good, diligent work here, looking to overtake Hamilton, who is on the hard compound. So I wonder, is Lewis trying to go to the end of this race on those hards? Because he's no stranger to trying the long stint in this Red Bull of his. He did that last season, remember, in the finale? I mean, this is pretty much how I lost the championship to Leclerc in Abu Dhabi, was because he was leading the race, having gone long on the hard compound of Tyre. So almost getting a bit of PTSD seeing Hamilton there try a long stint on the hards. Thankfully, we overtake him in this race, and we can be on our way looking to try and close up to Tsunoda as Verstappen is in now. He's onto the hards. Suggesting that maybe, was he on the softs then at the start, on the restart? I don't know, but very peculiar for Verstappen to choose hard tyres, but maybe Red Bull just don't have the compounds to spare as we do swap positions with Tsunoda. He doesn't put up too much of a fight. Of course, we are now the 60% recognised driver, so clearly the team leader, you would say, he has no clue. The teammates have no clue about their recognition, do they? I actually don't even think they know who they are at all. Obviously they don't. They're not that clever. We'll see maybe in the future with the way AI is going, but we're now going to come into the pits then. Lap 14, I'll stop that waffling as we come in now for our last pit stop of the day onto another set of medium tyres. Let's see what Perez does. Looks like he's going to be onto another set of medium. So, yeah, very interesting. Red Bull, oh, for goodness sake. No. Pit stop delay, 4.7. That is tragic. Oh, okay, so we were closing up to Perez. We've now lost all that closing up quickness that we did to Sergio, and we may actually well be behind Tsunoda by the time he pits. I mean, let's see. The undercut obviously will help us, and it will do. So we will stay ahead of Tsunoda. You can see we're 3 seconds behind Perez now. We should have been right up his chuff, but instead now we've got all the work to do again. But Ocon, my good friend Ocon from the Formula 1 games, Ocon may do us a favour here, because he's in a very quick Williams in a straight line. Another car like the Haas Cadillac, I feel, with the setup has just gone for straight line speed and inshallah, basically, as Verstappen tries to overtake him. But Ocon is really good on the brakes, and he's actually going to hold up the Dutchman and Perez. And there we are in the background. We're closing. So Ocon is slowing up Verstappen and Perez so much that we could make it a four-way fight soon. Hamilton's up the road, going long on the hard tyres. Ahead of him is Fernando Alonso, looking to still apply the pressure to Albon, doing a great job for Williams in second place. But Leclerc, 6 seconds ahead. He has completely checked out. Lord Percival is just in flow state right now. Nothing can go wrong for him. And if I had to put money on it, I would bet on him winning this race now, unless something was to happen at the end of this one. You know, maybe another safety car. I wouldn't be opposed to that for sure for our race as well. But at the moment, we are now focusing on overtaking Perez, because now lap 18, Ocon held up Verstappen enough where we're within range. Verstappen's now overtaken him, of course, but he is now being done by Sergio Perez. So this is our chance to maybe try and go for a 2-for-1 potential. I don't know, or at least pick off one in one sector and then the other in another sector, and then try and see if we can maybe keep up with Verstappen. That might be a tall order, but we're now in the tow, boxed in a little bit between the Williams and McLaren. But look at that, late on the brakes. Perez, don't know what he's doing, caught him napping completely, and we are actually going to pull off a 2-for-1 overtake there. Great check out on aisle 10 as we're up to P6, and we can look to chase after Verstappen with a purple middle sector. There's some pace on these newer medium tyres, and both of us would be looking to chase after his teammate Lewis Hamilton, going long on the hards. Of course, he's yet to pit after that red flag. The rest of us have, so eventually you do feel like Hamilton will be falling away. So again, a patient game, and we patiently wait for the right time. As Verstappen attacks Hamilton on lap 21, we will slot in and just cheekily make the overtake on Verstappen. So rather than gaining a position, Verstappen loses one, as we now go defensive to make sure we hold the position, and then we look to make our overtake on Lewis Hamilton. So we'll overtake Hamilton before Verstappen actually maybe has a chance to, but he's not one for trying. He does definitely try to come back at us here as we go very, very aggressive. You have to with Verstappen to give him a taste of his own medicine. This is the only way you can hold up a driver of his caliber, to be honest, is going toe-to-toe in terms of the tactics of driving, as we do defend him and now look to make the pass on Hamilton, because Verstappen's too busy now fighting Perez. So we get a bit of breathing room from behind, and that gives us a chance to go versus our fellow compatriot. A little bit too far back to make a move though in that left-hander, but I think with the pace we've got in the corners, we just need to wait. And you know what, we might just set up a move in a very similar fashion to the one we did on Carlos Sainz, because Hamilton doesn't have damage, but his tyres are so worn out that he's basically got the same pace that Sainz did at this part of the circuit. So again, we'll kind of dummy him to the inside, he'll defend, and we go to the outside, and this is becoming my new favourite overtaking spot at Baku there. Lovely little drift as we did it round the outside, close to the wall as well, as we're up into P4. Lofty heights of this race. It's kind of slowly come out of nowhere, a top 4 position here, but we've just been doing diligent, work, chipping away at overtakes where we can, and also putting cars in between us and faster ones like Verstappen maybe, as he's now still fighting cars, and he's actually fighting our teammate. Tsunoda has overtaken Verstappen, so actually maybe the Red Bull is losing pace there. Tsunoda will overtake not only Verstappen, will now go and overtake Hamilton. So Red Bull, they may have qualified well, but their race pace is not looking too great, and maybe that's why Verstappen chose the hards. Maybe they're just terrible on their tyre around here, and now they're losing performance at the end of the stint. Meanwhile, Perez in our slipstream with DRS, it's just a slam dunk. I've not got too much battery either, so I didn't bother deploying, because if I deployed there, I would have had 0 battery for the rest of the lap, so I would have been overtaken anyway. So my best bet is to try and stick with Perez and look for maybe a last lap overtake. Is Leclerc, what did I say, dominating, nearly 15 seconds ahead of everyone, as Alonso and Albon side by side for the podium spot. Alonso just gets Albon on the last lap. Fernando up into second place. The wily old fox leaves it late, but he gets it and gets one more position on the second step of the podium. Meanwhile, we're looking to try and do a similar fashion here on the last lap, last sector. Leclerc has won this race. He will get ever closer to us in the Drivers' Championship, but can we try and maximize the damage limitation? The problem is I've got battery in the yellow, but I've done too much deployment, the green bar. I've used all my deployment. I've never had that. I've never, ever done that. And that's going to be a bit of a costly miscalculation, as we'll have to settle for P5 and 6 as a team.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory. He wins.
I mean, it looked like they were in a different category at points during the race, led every lap. I mean, what more can we say?
It's a big win for Leclerc, whilst obviously Lando Norris had a DNF. We were a little bit down the order. We still, came through for an okay result. But once again, we're not on the podium. It's been 4 races now since we're off the podium. And I say that as like a focus, because if you're in a title fight, you kind of have to be aiming for consistent podiums, really, especially when your rivals are going on to get race wins. So Leclerc, well, he's 1 point off us. And obviously Ferrari are looking so good in the Constructors, but that Drivers' Championship is now so close, and next race is going to be crucial. We have to maximize damage limitation versus Leclerc, and then hopefully we've got a rocket ship of a Toyota for the last 3 races. So next episode, that's crucial, even more crucial than this one, really, trying to maximize everything we can to then set up those last 3 races. But if you have enjoyed this one, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.